everyone, and welcome to another episode of The World of Sasquatch. Today we are up in the wilderness again. Where is it we are, Derek?
The Cascade Mountains?
Cascade Mountains, Washington State. We were last time in a different spot. We were called to come up here all the way, hiking all the way up in here into the Cascades. In a slightly remote spot. It's humans can get to it, but it was more difficult for me. But shut up, Isaac. I'm not a cripple. Okay, let's see. Do you follow me out here too? Okay. He's out here too. Let's see.
And what you hear behind us is the river.
Yeah, the river.
We got it probably as close as we can get to the river. If we get any closer, it'll be so loud you wouldn't even hear us. Mm-hmm. So we've got the river behind us, although I don't think in this shot you can't see it, but we may actually embed either some little footage or something of the river flowing from a different angle, so you guys can see that too. Yes,
and we'll be gifting shungite and a couple of skulls that need cleansing out here as well, to the forest people who can cleanse those pretty well when you put them out in nature. So if you ever have a corrupted edifice, this would be the place to put it. Let's see, and I'll see what the theme is going to be today with the Sasquatch. I always let them set the tone here. Get off me, mosquito. All right, let's see. I can feel them out here. We felt them out here since we hiked up here, and we felt the pressure in the head. We were definitely scanned. I don't think this is a different group, but I think it might be different individuals within that group.
And again, they could be scanning because, you know, we haven't been back for a few days, and they're always going to look at people to see if something has been etherically implanted. Remember, it's always going to be safety first for them. But if you're walking in the woods and you start to feel a pressure, potentially, especially coming down on the back of the head or here, yeah, a lot of times you're going to feel both. You're going to feel one and then the other.
Kind of like a helmet, or like a hand doing this or this. You know.
Then somebody is probably, if you're sensitive enough to feel that, there's a good chance that something is scanning you.
Yes.
And as far as the Sasquatch go, again, it's going to be, they can watch you to see what you're doing. What they're scanning for is what is etherically in your energy field, or any problems, or that would potentially make it unsafe. As we said last time, they are definitely hunted. There's a lot of people that do not want the contact between humans and Sasquatch to occur. However, it is inevitable, so there's not much they can do, but right now it's safety first. So last time when we were speaking to this group, we didn't really learn anything about them and their way of living out here, or their families, or anything going on. It really kind of was more of that basic general discussion of preparing yourself energetically and doing inner work that is necessary to prepare yourself for actually eventually meeting this race. There is a lot of inner work. Some of the things that we currently are exposed to on a daily basis outside of being in nature like this, that blocks a lot of it, then we actually radiate toxicity between a lot of the foods, especially in the United States and Australia, and then some of the other things that we are exposed to that kind of now radiate off of our energetic field. And so some of the inner work that they would like to see us work on to make it make the situation better, to get together, is awareness, number one, that this stuff, other things are happening to us, and then what are you going to do about it? One of the big issues that I have seen with different groups who want to reach out is that many still have a concept of, if you do not have this visage of a human body and you have more animal looking, you're an animal. there's a definite knowledge deficit and understanding that when we start to meet these different races, be it here, be it the ones below our feet, be it the ones up in the sky in different planets, that many of them are not going to look humanoid. They're going to have different features, and although something may look more like cat, or something may look more like a dog, or something may look more like the Sasquatch, which some people think are more of the ape looking, that these are actual very intelligent, highly intelligent races walking around, spacefaring, and are not animals at all. So that's a whole nother hurdle that has to be overcome right now. So with that, I don't know if you want to see who's around and see what we can talk about today.
Well, there's a white colored Sasquatch here with kind of like a pinkish face. I don't know if he's an Anakim elder, of the elder line, not necessarily an Anakim yourself. Okay, kind of like Fuma. Okay. Kind of like a grandchild of one of them or something, you know. He says, think of him as a nature enforcer, is what he's saying. Or I don't know if that was a joke or not, or if the joke went over my head, I don't know. But, and then he said Scrumpy over here is one of them.
I had a feeling.
Yeah.
I had a feeling Scrumpy was definitely pretty demanding on being out. He even wanted to make sure that he was on camera. And I had a feeling there had to be a big relationship going on, or why would he be putting forth so much effort? So I'm sure we'll hear from him as well then.
And he, you know, that's the very first shungite and resin skull that I created, and this was in Arizona. And this being, he called himself Scrumpy. Why that's his alias or his name that he's chosen, I don't know. But there's his pseudonym. But he's very childlike, but he's also quite direct too. Like if he doesn't want to come inside, he'll just say no. So I'm wondering if he's a younger one. No? Okay, he's just. A couple of them said he's just special. Okay. I don't know what tribe Scrumpy's from, but I think he differs from them. But I was told, we were told Washington State is more of a hub for different tribes to gather in. Like I've always said, this is like their capital. So, jokingly enough, I say that. But this guy here, he's kind of laying across this other board that's over here, this bench. And, he has big burly shoulders, you know, kind of the no neck look, but not quite like this, but it's kind of, he has a bigger head, but I can see his neck and jaw distinctions and everything. And he also is, even though I see him kind of laying there, he's drifting over this way. I believe him to, he's trying to, I don't see him over there anymore, I just see his face looking at me right here, so he may be just kind of floating around in a bilocated form. But there are some all up here, you can feel them aiming at us. There's a larger brownish black colored one that's up this way. He looks to be about 10 feet tall or higher. I can kind of see them, they're masking their signature a bit. This guy, the biggest one up here, I believe him to be a sentinel, like a tribal sentinel or guard. He has like this black patch that's like going through his hair, and then he has reddish and brown and stuff through him. He looks to be a sentinel. Oh, he's wearing armor. He has like an armor thing on him. When he got closer, I could see him. But, oh, he came down here just to sit. Okay. I was wondering why he was running. Okay. But there's some all back in here. So, ooh, you're strong. What's your name? Not you, Scrumpy. I'm looking at the other guy that's floating next to you here. Okay. You are... oh, you want to say in channel. Okay. Usually on the Viking Council, they do things like that too. So they'll say in channels. I think it's easier for them. So, He says maybe the special one will talk too. Okay. I had a feeling he was a forest person when he wanted to come up here. So. Oh, he's a scout. That's what they're calling Scrumpy. He's a scout. Scouting out people for potential communications, like a recon. So it's easier for them to use an edifice. So if, this is another way to communicate with them, folks, just like with any elemental. I didn't think of it this way with the forest people, but they apparently like the edifice idea so long as you don't have any ones with negative beings in them. So even though they're very, very cautious of edifices. So let me see here. Ooh. He's moving slowly. Why are you moving so slow? Don't let my appearance fool you. I'm not an elder. I would be the equivalent to someone in their 20s. Some of us have white and blonde hair earlier on, very much like some of you do in your 20s and 30s. Since we are of a kind, similar genetic traits appear. As she has stated, we are not animals, just like you are not. We are not your underlings, nor are we your superiors. Though we have been around a long time, this does not negate the fact that we are your equals. We are just using abilities that you have forgotten. And some of our people have as well. This group, or grouping, that you have classified us in this state of Washington, is indeed a hub. We are an amalgam of different tribes, very much like some of your Native American tribes are an amalgam of different ones, very much like your Seminole tribes out of your Florida state. We are mixes of DNA, even though most of the Lemurian descentage are along your western coast. We can move in a little further, and we can portal from one end to the other. Some of us, not all of us, some have forgotten the old ways, and some have fallen into barbarism. But I will not get into that as of yet. That is a statement for a different show. What I wish to state is this, and thank you for letting us set the topic. We wish to state some of our familial bonds and some of the myths and mistruths. The way our tribes work anywhere on this continent are, we do have a tribal elder, very much like your Native American tribes do. They are of the Anakam lineage, even though I am myself. My grandfather is the true Anakam for the area. He is indeed a shaman warrior, you would say. And he carries a stick, very much like this one, to do healings. You would see them as little old men, but in fact, just because he is smaller does not mean that he is smaller in light body presence. And he is quite strong physically as well. Much older than the rest of us by a long shot. I myself, you would judge me to be 210, thereabouts, as are some of my brothers slightly younger. Very much like your Fuma stated, he was a child around the time of your Jamestown was in operation. My grandfather, however, came from the old country, you would say. off in space into the Pleiades. Our path has been just as rough as your own. The same oppressors that oppress you have done so to us. You see, this is also how we are of a kind. Yes, there were some of us here in the times before the world of magic collapsed, and there were some of us that had our DNA stolen, but there were some of us that escaped back out to the Pleiades, you see. Those were the ones from beyond the sun, like my grandfather. However, he stuck it out here along with the rest of us. Some, we don't want to judge them as running, but their paths lied elsewhere. Sometimes it was out of fear, sometimes it was out of strategy. It matters not. Everyone is back together again. My grandfather and his lineage then began. However, there were some of us that fell into de-evolution or disevolution, just like some of your Nordic giants. You see, we ran parallel lives, us and you, and them, because of the paralleled nature of the enemy in which invaded at multiple time frames at once. This is why you have parallel evolutions or de-evolution. Some of the myths surrounding my people are not true, and some are. An example to this would be, if you wander too far into our territory, will we show aggression? Yes, but it is to get you to walk away from a colony, or if you've passed a barrier marker that you have not seen. We know that the education surrounding these barriers has waned, and we know the reasons why. But this does not mean people get to cross our barriers whenever they wish. I know this has been emphasized. I know you find it cool and fascinating, and we wish to speak to you. But give us a while to, you would say, recombobulate, and we will initiate conversation, and have on many occasions. This is why these people here, these good people here, are out amongst our domain. An intuition can be an invitation, you see, but an invitation is not always for your highest good. An invitation could be a mischievous, you would call them elemental, that wishes to further you into their domain. It could be a troll wishing to capture or consume one. So please be discerning. It is not us that are capturing your kind, except for the most degenerated of us and the captured of us. This is one of the myths. Another is that, again, we are apes or great apes. No. We may share primate DNA as you have primate DNA. This does not mean that you completely evolved here. You may have gained strains of ours over a period of time as the harvesters saw fit to blend their DNAs together. Remember, your kind was captured from elsewhere. Souls were captured from elsewhere and forced to evolve in a path that suited the darkness. But there are also other experimentors here that all they see it as is a petri dish. But again, there are some that are not at fault and some that are. We are not going to completely point fingers at names. We are just saying there is more at stake than your little green men or your grays. There is a system at stake. Very fragile, very thin ice form of a system. The myths surrounding that system are this: that it is only one group doing these. No. You have more than 40 groups here doing this and variations there within. and you have more than 1,000 different interdimensional species that are trying to communicate, all lumped into either the angel or the demon categories. I say 1,000 because I am counting the different, what you call, densities and frequencies, including our own species, that are communicating with you, and all the variations within those species. You see, there are blendings and hybrids that you know nothing about. There are what you would say purebred species, and then there are what you would refer to as mutts. This is true of the entire galactic realm. So this is why I say 1,000 different species, because there are 1,000 different variations on one theme. And that is bipedal and two-armed and one head. I state one head because there are species with several, but I digress. Beings that you probably will not see within your lifetime, that my grandfather has cataloged. I know I've not stated my name thusly. My true name will remain a mystery, and I must do this for the sanctity of the group, but I will give the name of Harry. I know that is a name amongst your kind, and it is more of a sight gag if anything else. I choose this because humor is what we express today. Another myth about our people is this: footprints always lead back to us. Wrong. We might be leading you out of an area, and we wish you to follow the trail. We may lead you in a circle telepathically back around to your starting point. We're not doing this to get you lost. We are doing this to get you found back on the path we wish you. This is why when some people push their luck, as you would say, we must show them a footprint or two to even cast, not only to gain communications, but to lead you away. There are ones that will gain communications in some way, in this way, but I will state for you now, the tribes up here do not always do this. They do them both ways. To get your attention to communicate and be fascinated and speak with the heart over the subject, or we are leading you out of an area through that of physical empirical data. We will even leave hair on trees, marking them as we go along to lead you away, so you collect it all like a trail of breadcrumbs, and you will notice that it may even be near your vehicle when you come back to that place from which you came from. We are basically stating that we can communicate with you there, but you are getting too close. We are saying, watch for the signs when they appear. You see, we can communicate out here just fine amongst the trees. It is more difficult within the cities, even though we walk in the cities in a different frequency. It is easier for us to use an edifice, and it is easier to communicate out here amongst nature. And now for one of the biggest myths of all time. This has been perpetuated by your kind ad nauseum. The cannibalistic myths that are out there amongst your kind about mine, and the ritualistic ones. Any seer that says this is such is not tapping into our energy frequency. They are tapping into trolls of both kinds, reptilian and demonic sources. We do, however, use trees as portals. This is a truth, despite what you may have heard by some of your so-called experts. We do not fuse with the tree. All trees are doorways, to some extent. All manner of interdimensional being use them. Some have just been displaced out of time, and they don't know which street corner they are on. So they will end up in a place that either has been long forgotten or has been forever changed. And this is how you get some of the elementals on your property that are interdimensional. They don't know where they are, they don't know what time frame they're in, and they are angry that humans are occupying their territory. They got displaced during the old conflicts. They stepped through a doorway and stepped back through it in a different time. They followed the cosmic thread, you would say, to that spot. This does not make them bad. This just makes them confused. But yes, we do use trees as doorways. We use hollowed out stumps as entry points, sometimes, from Agartha and various other points on your globe. And we do use natural nexus points that have not been corrupted. Like a flowing river, flowing water from one end to the other. We do use these. But it is easier for us just to follow the flow than it is to block the flow from something that is trying to intrude. Which leads me to the next point. As my dear brother Chucky said the other day, do not lead back to us that which can harm us. This is not personal, but know if you leave something for us to cleanse like they have today, include with you, even in your personage or backpacks or packs, shungite of some kind, which will mask the signature that said corrupted edifices or stones will put off. Like an alarm. But just know, meeting us in the middle on this will show us the great thank you would say. Because knowing our limitations and your own, as well as knowing the energies around you, will make communications with our people much easier and much more fluid. We know virtually all that you know, but do you know what we know about you? No. You have to know yourself before that day can come. We are showing ourselves to you on a regular basis, but do you see us? As well as all the elementals surrounding them in these woods. All the different types of fae and fairy folk. They hear everything you hear. They have beings within trees and shops and homes all over. The eyes and ears are plentiful. But do you see or hear, or do you see demon, and do you see ghoul? I would put that out there for, you would say, food for thought. I am now open to questions.
Well, thank you, Harry, because you were so detailed, and that was so nice to hear your points about the myths that you feel are important to talk about today. So I really appreciate that. I'm going to go back though to the beginning because it's kind of amazing. It always amazes me when a conversation comes up, and again, Chris and I have not talked about everything, and we didn't know what we were going to talk about today. But you started a discussion about way back in the day with your grandfather, way back when the darkness came in. And so I'm going to share with you what's been going on with me, because I have to tell you where we are sitting, where we found today. Derek took us here. Kind of was a part of some, I don't know if you would call them visions, thought processes, whatever that I was having, but not just related to your group, but related to other races as well. So I'll explain further. When we were in Japan, and I don't know if you are familiar with us being in Japan at all. Okay, when we were in Japan and there was a problem, someone asked us to go to the beach because there was a problem there. This was a free diver who free dives everywhere, is known for it, is famous for it, but all of a sudden she couldn't go off her own waters, and it was very disturbing. So we went out there. To make a long story short about this, there was Myrmidon that were present, and they were kind of feeling pinned in because on one side they had a military base who's unfriendly, and on the flip side, on the land, which again historically they also were on land and water, they had the Emperor's summer home, which now was actually over top of what used to be theirs. And so a lot of difficulty, and this particular freediver had had some past lives that were questionable energetically. So there needed to be some healing and some conversation that occurred. Part of the conversation that occurred, which I found very interesting, was perspective on being here. Because you even mentioned this, where you said you're not going to really talk about those of your group that kind of maybe got afraid and just ran away, let's say. Okay, you brought that up. So one of the things that they wanted us to hear was their perspective of being here. They completely take their historical vision of their experiences is that there was no wanting to be here to learn and grow. They were literally in a situation, they were here, they were living here, and wham, now they're imprisoned. It's kind of like the darkness came in and imprisoned them. They're actually kind of a little bit miffed. You're being a lot kinder because some left, or from where their other planet is, no one's come in to help. So their perspective is they're very frustrated. And again, this goes back a long period of time, not just a short one. So the reason I bring this up and what I've been curious about, and it's kind of interesting because we were having this conversation just for a slight bit in the car, about the fact that, you know, on an energetic level, no one's going to get anywhere getting through this by themselves. Races have to learn to be willing to deal with other races. People have to start getting along. The collective consciousness, people have to learn to use that. But it's not just humans. From what I can tell, there's the whole issue going on within the other races as well, because there were problems in Agartha, races weren't getting along, some have now left. So in my vision, because it's kind of funny, it's like I was taking a litmus test of where I thought everybody was, and I was kind of having this vision of a group meeting together, and it was Myrmidon, it was Sasquatch, it was other races from Agartha, and so it may even have been some Antiqua present. So my point to all of this is that, you know, I want to expand this conversation, because this is not just about the human's consciousness and growth. It's about all of us consciously and growing, and then unifying to change this. So I've been having these thoughts, visions, and so I'm curious, what is the status of your group and other groups? Are you getting along with other races outside of just the Sasquatch? What are you guys doing? How are you unifying?
Well, for one, unlike the Myrmidon, we do not cry over spilt milk, you would say. But we do meet with them on a regular basis. That is, if they are not, so you would say, butthurt, they cannot see past their own face, I believe it's stated. But to fling mud at them is to jest, even though they would not always see it as such. But they've had their periods of jest with us as well. When we do meet with these other races, now, do we all get along? No. We meet because we know we must. And do the groups of Agartha work cohesively? No. There was once that council, and there was the Council of Lemuria ages and ages ago, that was more unified. But when the aristocracy or aristocratic type mentality took over, that was shattered for a time. But as your culture unifies more, the more the groups of Agartha that are left, and the groups of galactics that are around your system and beyond unify. You see, those are the codexes that are being created here. We do not, say, absorb like some do. We just learn from. And then we teach also. The other groups of Agartha that were being more obnoxious are no longer an issue, except various pockets of your spindly factions and negative Eben pockets. However, there are various other groups that you've never heard of that we interact with. Various aquatic species, various interdimensional crustacean, you would say, species, crab-like individuals, fish-like individuals, and elven-like individuals of which you've already spoken to. We all meet, the same as the Lyrans, the same as the Khazad Thul, the same goes for other species. Some are good reptilian-esque species as well. We all meet, but doesn't mean we all agree. No. We just bounce ideas off of each other and meet in the middle, and there's where unity begins. Sometimes agreeing to disagree is where this begins. The ones that were causing the most disagreement were some of the hostile Syrian factions, such as Bendigoth's family and various other lineages such as that. We are not saying all Syrians because they are a type of elf and elf mixtures. They're not all Syrian, by the way, either. But in this, we can say that there were only certain families that were more domineering and wanted to keep their post or keep their sovereignty or authority intact. But I do regret to say the doors of Agartha have been closed for a time. Many have come to your Shasta mountain and other unknown openings and notice that the doors are no longer accessible. There is a reason for this, because there are people, though we wish to open our doors down there, and so do the other groups, we cannot, because there are too sensitive of technologies that were left behind by other groups. For one, we do not wish militaristic groups to invade, as they have tried many, many times in the past. And it depends on which group you encounter that is more friendly or more aggressive. Along this coast, along with ourselves, there are pockets of Syrians and Elven groups that have sealed the doors from the other side. They did this again for security measures, both in the etheric, because there are sigils on the outsides of the doors that are hidden to your eyes, and sometimes not. These sigils keep out the etheric implants that people hold, and those that are from within. Sorry for the interruptions, but there are multiple voices in tandem trying to interrupt this conversation. But these openings, though other recordings have said these are open and welcome, those are out of date. We welcome you to our realm, but it doesn't always mean that other groups will be so open.
Thank you. I appreciate that update, because apparently it's been very heavy on my mind, because I do believe that, you know, although people want to believe that we have it, I'm going to say we have it the worst, we have the worst problems to work through, this, that, and the other. It's actually not true. Every single area involved in or around Earth, if you're a race on here in whatever frequency, most of them have been exposed to these negative energies, and everyone's having to try and work their way through them somehow. However, I am curious if you agree with my statement that it's my understanding that the energies have changed enough that we are on a steady path of unity and pulling out of it.
Yes, indeed, you are correct. Those that give doom and gloom timelines are not in the place that they should be, because they are giving doom and gloom statements by an empire that is all but ashes. This particular empire lives on the doom and gloom and lives on the unbalanced individual, the divide. Divide and conquer, and then rule. No, the dividing and conquering has happened within the self. So therefore, by repairing the divide within yourself, you make it so that those beings cannot divide and conquer you. In this, I must emphasize this because there are strictly military policies in place that wish to get rid of these beings. Yes, this is applicable, but we also must emphasize that whoever you are inside is good enough to repel most of their influences. Yes, there are external scientific alchemic practices as well, and we acknowledge this. Stones, crystals, plants, etc., nature. Both are working together. There is the divide. Nature from human, human from self. Unified, stronger. You do this and unified as individuals, but together, working together to solve a common problem. This will turn this world into a better place that then we can show our faces to you permanently.
Well, thank you. So I'm going to turn this more as kind of my last question on a personal note. So I would, we came to Washington. We wanted to work with certain people growing certain projects that we feel are very important to all of us, including you. And it feels very strongly. It's how it happens sometimes. We've gotten a lot of unwanted negative attention. And so, you know, it gets hard every now and then. You get a little bit down, not sure what to do. You start carrying a lot of stress, a lot of anxiety. So any words of wisdom to help us more easily grow through this?
The weight that you carry on your back, so to speak, is the worry of 1,000 lifetimes. Granted, it is culminated and accumulated within this particular lifetime where things have failed, empires have risen and fallen, projects have gone to their height and fizzled out, you would say. However, in this new energy, the most damning thing you can do is to damn the self and to fall into the pit of permanent despair. We are not saying don't be balanced. We are saying feel every emotion, feel everything. You're not going to ill manifest, but to stay in a spot of sorrow, anxiety, and chaos will crumble even the strongest fortress. So, in this, flow with the energies, or divide the self and divide projects amongst you, ones that could help. Remember, the enemy divides and conquers. They know that people work better together even if they have minor differences and similar strengths. They know that this is the nature of the beast, so the nature of that beast is to split. Just know that the unity that you are creating here will last a lifetime and even beyond that. But remember, the strength is within the self always to resist these temptations and resist these worries and resist even the energies that are on different properties close to you and others. Yes, we understand other humans are not so kind when it comes to bringing in etheric barriers or past etheric barriers. But in this, remember, you can protect your own self, and you can protect a property, and you can protect a project with the proper wording and the proper materials and the proper intentions. Just remember, the divide and conquer tactic is far less powerful than unity.
which is really important. So I often like to think, and as people again have to learn to positively co-create, which staying too long in these anxieties and worries and negative emotions, and if you stay there too long, it begins to cause that co-creation. So, I actually like the idea of positive affirmations. I like simple ones. For example, if I really want something to go some way, I basically say, well, it's going to go this way because I said so. And there really doesn't need to be any other explanation. It's going this way with full strength of confidence. As far as certain projects, I just like to use simply, well, it's going to succeed because it is meant to. There doesn't need to be any further discussion. This is the part of moving this forward, and it is meant to be. So it just is. So I want to ask you about, what do you think about the power of simple affirmations to change your mind into moving more in a positive direction?
That is a good foundation. However, remaining in the moment and creating these affirmations, but also having you would say, game plan, is perfectly fine. Create it in the moment. People always say, don't look ahead, don't look back, which is true. But if you create a game plan in the moment and you reaffirm it with affirmations and reaffirm it with your intention, then this timeline that you've created becomes solid. Yes, you can create timelines, you will say. Not necessarily the Mandela effect kind or multiversal kind, but you can create different rails on a track. Not necessarily to get derailed, mind you, but shift over to a different track that might otherwise have derailed on another one. Through that intention and through that planning, you see, the curve of a track might be into a rock face on one side and curved around another, just by creating a workaround. By doing these things, planning, but yet remaining in the moment and firm in your intentions, this will create the foundation for a mighty fortress, you would say, one that will stand the test of time.
And I think this is important for everybody to hear and to really understand, because I know that my personal focus for what I would like to see people become fascinating at is that co-creation, and how do you co-create, and how do you have to undo some of the ways we've been taught to think, what we've been taught to focus on. We've been taught to worry. We've been taught to focus on lack. We've been taught to focus on that, which creates even more. It's been there since the day you were born. You've been imprinted in a certain way, and some of that has to be undone. But as far as gaining skills as well, I don't think any of us want anybody to think that these are hard skills. That this is something, if you just change your mindset and the way you're looking at things, including those who want disclosure with these races and want to shake their hands. Again, what does that look like, taste like, smell like? Would you want to be around somebody if you knew you stunk? If you hadn't had a bath in a week? For some of us right now, and some of the toxins we're around, it's like that to them. So we have to be aware of all of these things, and then we have to start seeing things moving in a different direction, which is probably what I was doing with my envisioning. I was trying to envision all of these races now getting together and working a bit more cohesively. Maybe that's what I've been doing the last for the last week, is knowing the importance of that and trying to put my energies towards that as well. But how important all of this is for people to learn in order to just end up meeting you guys.
Yes, the power of intention is quite powerful. The visualization of unity, quite powerful. This can be run through the heart space, which is your biggest eye of all time. We're not saying not be a balanced person. We are also saying do not denigrate self. We are also saying that in these times of this energy, this newer energy, certain things will move at a much faster pace than you might be used to. It is approaching the energy threshold as it was prior to the invasion. However, with new additions in place, new additions such as the antidote to a very long-standing virus, you could say. You are the antidote to this virus. Granted, all the experiments that have ever been done, all the situations you've ever run into, has created this antidote that is not necessarily ripe for the picking, you would say, but creates and reforms the surroundings around it. And your quest for change not only brought down the three-house system, but your quest for change will not only unify the remaining tribes of Agartha, but unify yourselves first.
Well, thank you. That was actually lovely. And I think we're kind of coming to the end. So any last words?
Just know that the tribes that you call the hairy people or forest people welcome you to their domain, but within reason. Gifts are always welcome. Energies, positive and balanced ones, are always welcome. And if you are in need of healing within our domain, you are always welcome, but remember to watch for the barriers. Watch for the barriers. Watch for our holy sites, which is technically all of this domain, but watch for the actual barriers. Watch the waters. Be near the waters. Watch the trees. Be near the trees. Just know that certain noises that perpetuate in the cities, such as loud ringing of the binary network or ill telepathy from the faceless ones, as you call them, can be negated by just sitting out here in our domain, which is also your domain. We share this world. It is ours just as much as it is yours. We are no more animals than you are animals. We are no more beneath you than we are above you. There are positive affirmations to the as above, so below. It is not always the energy collection kind, but it is of a balanced kind. A duality that is fusing into a unity. A unity that starts with all of you by not seeing yourself as either a slave race or a conquered people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh. Whoa. Ooh. Everything always is more green when I come out of that.
Mm-hmm. It's a higher frequency.
Yeah, everything is like more vibrant and colorful. So it's like all like emerald color out here. Like you've just entered an enchanted forest or something. It's just you expect to see some of them sitting on thrones and chairs and everything. So it's like, yeah, it's well, I think we can leave it there, folks. We'll attach another video of us gifting the Shungite and leaving the corrupted skulls here. But just know this has been a very interesting episode of the World of Sasquatch. So thank you everybody for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye.
You can put the skulls over if you want.
Okay.
Yeah. These, everybody, are the corrupted edifices. And they are being left out here. Oh, nice shot. Nice. Right all the way down. Oh, man, that went all the way almost to the water. Okay. If you want to take the baggie for a second, you can dump the flower petals. We got Japanese cherry blossom in here. Mm-hmm.
Let me carry it.
Now there it went. Yeah, there we go. And we got, of course, Shungite, which I'm going to toss them in the directions. She tossed the skulls and off this way. And I wanted to point out something to everybody here while we were sitting here on this. So this is the board we were sitting. See, there's Scrumpy. There is this stump right here that looks like it has a face. This one here. And there is indeed an elemental in this particular stump that is actually looking at us, but their energy form has formed that facial look within that torn up tree stump.
There's one over here too. That looks like it is this one. From a distance, you can see a face. I think that has kind of gotten a well. So you can see it further from the distance. Don't get too close.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah.
So, but they get the images.
Yeah, and that's from their energy imprint. So this is where we are today, everybody.